All right, welcome to episode 128 of the ANTIC podcast for what is this? This is May 2026. And we've got a really news-filled show for you this month. We've got a special guest, Rob McMullen. Hey Rob, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, great. Thanks for having me.
And my name is Randy Kindig. I've got our regular hosts here as well, Case Abbott's
Hello, hello.
and Brad Arnold. Hey, Brad.
Hello.
All right. Well, there's nothing I'd rather be doing today. It's a race day here in the Indianapolis area, but I'd rather be talking Atari with my buddies, and that's what we're going to do today. So we start off by talking about what we've been up to in the Atari world, and Rob, you being our special guest, let's kick it off with you if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, I have to say I've been brought back to the Atari world here recently by stuff that Kay's been doing. I don't, do we want to spoil this right up front?
Sure, let's go. Let's talk about the big exciting thing.
The big exciting thing, yeah, Kay has created a Jumpman level editor that's web-based. So we're like, it's just now been publicized to Atari Age, and yeah, we're trying to kickstart this Jumpman 2 project again. So that's brought me
Nice.
back.
So Kay's a bad influence, I guess.
I think the correct kind of influence.
I'm the best influence.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, we should talk about remind people the history of the Jumpman project. I mean, why don't you go with that? We started 10 years ago. I was looking at the thing. It was like
I
10 years
know.
ago. 2016 is when we started reverse
Wow.
engineering.
Yeah, I saw some of my comments and yeah, it really was shocking how long ago it was. It does not seem that long ago at all. Some of the stuff is still fresh. I went back and started to I looked over the reverse engineering notes that we created, all those years ago. And yeah, some of it was still there and some I had to, as I kind of noted in the show notes, I've been messing with the reverse engineering and getting trying to get back into it and figuring out some of the stuff we used to do. But yeah, so it's my favorite game, but I think it's Kay's favorite game, and we wanted to initially kind of figure out what was there, what was in the program, and um, yeah, so we got into it, figured out some of the stuff, made our page. I made an editor for it, all those years ago called Omnivore that over the years has stagnated quite a bit. And when I tried to restart here recently, it was just so out of date, and the code was based on Python from like 6 years ago, and it really the current development of both Python and the user interface toolkit that I used are way out of date. And yeah, I did spend some time trying to get it up to date, and it just wasn't happening. It was going to take too much time. And so that's when I think Kay got involved and took it upon his own to create a new way to create levels.
You can show it off while you talk if you want. For the viewer, the YouTube viewing people. I mean, I loved using Omnivore, but I just couldn't use it anymore and waited patiently and then couldn't anymore. So this is a web-based uh, editor.
Yeah, and it's the being web-based, I think, is the correct solution because Omnivore was a desktop application, meaning that it was, had to compile it for all three different platforms. And then you had to install it, and then there was a sort of barrier to entry that this does not have. You just pull up the web page, and SK is drawing stuff. You can just see it. It populates everything. It has all the checks, so you don't put things in the wrong place. Um, it has a whole bunch of enhancements that you can do. You can do custom code. You can do music. You can create both sounds and player missiles. So it's almost a complete solution. The only thing you have to do on your own is download the image and then test it on your local emulator.
Yeah, then I created a level here, and then you can uh, export it as an ATR, and then I will share this other screen here and see if we can make it run. So yeah, I got to drag Rob back into the fun of Atari. A very cold start here.
It's got a nice interface.
Yeah,
Is that Windows and Mac, or is it
it's
Windows
if you've got a
only?
web browser, you can Linux
A web
anything.
browser.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, oh, actually, I should have done this differently, but I um, went out of order there. Um, so I did the feature here where in Jumpman, if you take a certain peanut, you can have things happen. So I just made this gap appear in the girders here. So yeah, so that is what I one of the things I've been working on, and making Rob think about Jumpman again.
Jumpman's one of those things I never stop thinking about. It's just
Right.
having the time to do stuff.
It's always on your mind. Yeah.
hmm
It is.
Wow.
Well, yeah, my ringtone on my phone is the Jumpman theme song. So
Really?
never far away from my
Wow.
mind.
I've forgotten how to
Interesting.
pause the simulator. It's still beeping at me. I'll just close that. Yeah.
What else, Rob? Been up to
Well,
anything else?
and yeah, that's the interesting thing. So Kate getting me back into Jumpman caused me to get into emulators again. And so I think on the last show or two shows ago, you had Paolo on for the
Oh, hmm.
yeah
For,
for the Fujisan. So I downloaded that emulator, and that's really great. That
It
is
is.
based on Atari 800, which is a cross-platform emulator. And I was the one who wrote libAtari 800 that he used for Fujisan.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I love the Atari 800 emulator. It's small and compact and cross-platform, and sort of it has a code base that I was able to understand. But then another emulator that I heard on, I think was the last episode, was the Altira SDL emulator.
Right.
And that's another amazing project because Altira is like super tied to Windows. It's like I had emailed Avery, Lee, like probably a decade ago now, but when I was thinking about writing an emulator into Omnivore, which I did using the Atari 800 emulator. But Altira is kind of the gold standard. It's got like almost cycle accurate like timings for everything. And but he said that it was so tied to Windows that it was really hard to ever port that to anything else. So the idea that and I don't know who's doing the Altair SDL emulator.
It's um I've got it down here. It's a handle I'm not familiar with. I don't know what the gentleman's real name is. Ilmenit, Ilmenit.
Yeah, I've downloaded it and compiled it. I've looked at the code. That's an amazing piece of work. The amount of to separate Windows code and then use this windowing toolkit. It's called Dear I Am GUI. Which is on a totally different UI paradigm. I don't want to get too technical about it, but the Windows UI is like it's called retain mode, and then Dear I Am GUI is immediate mode. It's like trying to fit square pegs in round holes. It's very, very different. So it is a great toolkit, but the amount of work that went into that is just astounding. So, but it was cool to see Altair running natively on my Linux machine. Um, yeah, so getting back into emulators has been a fun little rabbit hole to go down.
And there's been so much going on on the emulator front the last few months for some reason. I don't know why there's been this huge surge in work on different emulators. So, well, I mean, we're going to talk about another one that's come up recently, later in the show. So
Yeah,
it's pretty
I'm happy to
amazing.
be happy to be the beneficiary of all the people's work.
Yeah, yeah.
So
All
since we've got
right.
you back into the Atari fold, Rob, when's the next episode of the Player Missile podcast?
Yeah, I've never stopped thinking about that either. And I still have, yeah, I have my big collection of magazines here. I still need computes. If anybody has extra computes, I would take some computes. Um, yeah,
I've got a pretty big collection of computes if there's any specific ones that you need.
I think I'm missing like most of early 83, which is, I'll be picking up, January 83, I think. Yeah, what I will do more episodes for sure. It's just a matter of when. I think what I will probably end up doing is kind of not skipping entirely, but sort of glossing over like the basic programs because I don't know, I find that I'm not super interested in basic anymore. And so probably what I would end up doing is looking at machine language programs and then all the sort of like events of the time. Like I remember one of the recent things was the US Festival, which was I think it
Yeah.
was in the one of the September October episode that I did in 82. But there's another US Festival coming up in like I think it's was it Memorial Day 1983. It's kind of some of the things of the era that have interesting articles. That's probably will be my focus. Would be like machine language stuff and current events.
Sounds great. Okay, you heard it
Nice.
here
Looking
first.
forward to
Rob has absolutely guaranteed that there will be more episodes coming up
I'm committing. I'm
of
committing.
my favorite
Actually,
podcast.
another thing that will hopefully make stuff easier is there is in Audacity, which is sort of the editor I use. It's like an AI plugin for noise reduction that I have tested and it works like really well. It takes out a lot of the stuff I had to do by hand. So, as you all know, editing is the hardest and most like I don't know, daunting task of podcast recording. So
yeah.
anything to make that easier is certainly welcome.
Beautiful.
Yeah, if you find anything great for noise reduction, please let us know because I'm always trying to find good ways to get rid of noise in the podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to take us on a tangent too much, but um the it's one of the well, I don't know, do you all use Audacity or use something else?
Yeah, we use
Sometimes, yeah.
Audacity.
Yeah, the have you tried that? It's I think it's an I'll look it up later on and I'll add it to the show notes. But it's like Intel for some reason sponsored this plugin that has a AI and there's like three separate AI things that can do, and one of them worked really well for me. The other two didn't. So I don't know. It's worth it. It's worth a try.
Great.
Okay. Well, please stick around, Rob. We'd love to get some of your color on some of these other discussions that we have, and I think we'll move on to Kay and let him tell us what he's been up to.
I have been busy. In addition to the Jumpman level editor, which has been a big exciting project. There's if you're interested in that, by the way, there is a forum on Atari Age, a thread that's more than 10 years old now, where we're discussing it. People hopefully will be sharing levels. Rob didn't say that we intend to create levels and release a new version of Jumpman. That's been our goal all along. Release a new version of Jumpman with 32 new levels, hopefully by the end of this year. So we're going to get working on creating new levels, and hopefully other people will create interesting levels that they build. So yeah, check that out and participate in the Atari Age forum if you want. And yeah, it's exciting. So the other thing is, let's see, I went to VCF East. Went to two VCF shows. The first one being VCF East in Wall, New Jersey. Participated in a podcasting panel, and that was great. There was a bunch of retro computing podcasters up there. We talked about our shows and answered little questions, and it was well moderated. Earl Evans was there, and he was part of the panel. And we talked about that, and it occurred to me. I told about him afterwards. Like many of the people on the podcasting panel mentioned Earl Evans or his Chicken Missile podcast as like some sort of inspiration, or they got interested in podcasting because of him, or and of course
Because of
it,
retro bits, you mean?
uh, uh,
Probably.
um, no, I
Retro
mean,
bits is the one. Retro bits is the one that got me started.
oh,
So
okay, all right, well,
yeah,
so yeah, yeah, him in general. So maybe not Chicken Missile, but retro bits and him, um,
right,
his early retro computing podcasting.
right.
I mean, Chicken Missile kind of got us started as Antic, and then retro bits got some other people started. So, um, and I just said, he was the inspiration to a lot of us, and helped.
He's like the godfather of podcasts. I mean, he
Yeah.
was doing it pretty early.
hmm Yeah. The godfather of retro computing podcasting, perhaps. Um, so anyway, got to hang out with him and do that podcasting panel. It was great. Spent a lot of time hanging out with Tom Cherry Holmes and the FujiNet folks at the FujiNet booth. They had a table set up with an Atari and an Apple and a TI-99 and I don't know, some sort of British machine. It all running FujiNet and talking to each other, and that was great. Just kind of that was kind of my base. Just kind of hung out there. Alan Bushman was there, scanner extraordinaire, an Atari guy I have known mostly online for many years. I did an interview with him, which will be published soonish.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, excellent.
and also hung out with Michael Sternberg and Dan Boris, who are the folks on were helping me on what we're calling Team Zindernoof, which is going through all uh, the software from Robert Leyland. Um, uh, who did Atari Artist and Koala Painter and other stuff and Murder on the Zindernoof, and we've been going through those discs and anyway, so we had like an in-person meeting about where we were with it, and it turns out we are much farther along than we thought. So having the meeting helped, and we're going to be start releasing some source code soon, put them on GitHub and Internet Archive and whatnot. So that was very useful. And so that was that. And then the last day of the show, there was a like Sunday afternoon, there was a bomb threat, and we all had to
I
leave
heard
the
about that.
facility. And so the whole thing kind of ended with a whimper, but not a bang. Just because like we were all doing the show, and it was, people starting to pack up and stuff, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we've got to go. So that was a little weird. But it was a good show, and I had a good time, and glad I went. And then a couple weeks later, I went to VCF Pacific Northwest.
Man,
Um,
traveling man.
well, Pacific Northwest is practically in my backyard. It
Yeah.
was a 3 hour drive north to near Seattle. Went to the show I mean, very different kind of show than VCFE. It's a much smaller show, but it was a good crowd and a lot of good booths and people showing off a variety of things. Not a lot of Atari stuff specifically there. Um, but I got to Joe DeCure was there, and I went to his talk, and that was interesting. And then I ended up hanging out with him, and then oddly, I didn't have a hotel that night, and I ended up spending the night at Joe DeCure's house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That is cool.
What a treat.
yeah. So we hung out, and he showed me his workshop
Oh, nice.
and his view of the lake, and it was great. We hung out, and yeah, so that was really unexpected. Um, I also took a tour of the Interim Computer Museum, which I've talked about on this podcast before. Stephen Jones, who runs the museum, gave us a tour. Someone else on the tour was Salam Ismail, who was the original OG founder
Founder.
of Vintage Computer Federation or whatever it was called at the time, the vintage computer shows, VCF
Mhm.
shows. So he was there, and I haven't seen him in years. So we got to talk. We did a tour, this great tour of the museum, which was very impressive. And Again, like coming from it's like not something you would compare to the Living Computer Museum, RIP, or the Computer Museum in San Jose. But it's its own thing. It was really cool. You can see where they're going with it, and it was lovely. And then on the way home, or before I went home, I went to the Connections Museum in Seattle, um, which is not Atari related at all, but it was very cool. It is a museum all about telephones and telecommunications history. And these guys know just everything there is to know about um, phones and how when you make a call, like from the earliest days, like when you make a call, like it started with the switchboard, and there would be a human operator plugging little plugs into the switchboard, and then there was later types of automated systems, crossbar systems and whatnot, and they have them all there. And these things are huge, and they take up like a room, and they've got these, and there's phones all over the museum, and you can call from any phone in the museum to any other phone in the museum, and it switches through their actual working telephone switches. And some of them are, from the 60s, and they go clack, 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 and parts are moving, and it was amazing. It was it was very, very cool. I honestly had planned on showing up, being there for 20 minutes, looking around, going, "Yep, that's cool," and leaving. But as I walked in, the elevator doors open. There is I can't get out of the elevator because there's a crowd of people there. And man says to me, "Are you here for the tour?" And I was just like, "Yes." And he said, "Okay, you're just in time." And it was an hour and a half tour, and it was fascinating. And I stayed the whole time and just absolutely loved it. So anyway, if you're and they're only open Sundays for like 12 to 4 or something. They're this place anyway. I happened to be there on a Sunday. I went to this Connections Museum. It was great. Very very nerdy and very cool. Let's see. And then when I was at VCF East and I was talking to Alan Bushman, he reminded me of something um, that I just forgotten about, something I'd mentioned here on this podcast about I wanted that I thought it would be neat if somebody took um, the Games Computer Play service and made it work on FujiNet. And and so the Games Computer Play service was an online service that for the Atari 8-bit, only for the Atari 8-bit, that only lasted for a couple of years. Years ago, I interviewed Gardner Popper, who was the one of the founders, and so then I was like, okay, thank you for reminding me of that, Alan. And so I threw some time and some code at trying to get out the graphics from the game from the service. Games Computer Play was maybe the first online graphical online service, and so it had these little robots that could walk around and um, and go from room to room. So I tried to extract the graphics from the game, and it took a lot of time, even with help from AI, and but I managed to get a lot, not all, but a lot of the graphics out of the game. And it's interesting because most of the graphics are longer. It's done in ANTIC mode for the five color text mode, and most of the graphics are longer than the screen, like more than 40 characters. So there was some sort of scrolling or just jumping scenes or something. And then you would have a robot that you could walk around and go from place to place. Anyway, so I got out all these graphics, and that's as far as I've gotten so far. And I posted about this on the Atari Age forum. And I'm hoping that interested people I want to make a games computer play play alike for FujiNet. It doesn't have to be. No one, I don't know exactly what the service was like, and hardly anyone ever used it. But it would be neat to have the FujiNet lobby or something look like Games Computer Play, and you can maybe have little robots and walk around and chat and go from choose what different games you're going to play, whether it's Battleship or whatever. There's really no reason that we can't make that happen if we are so inclined. So step one was getting the graphics out, and I've gotten most of the graphics out. And the looking at the code from Games Computer Play, there was there was a whole like little scripting language, little bespoke language to tell it what to do when you went to a new room, or what graphics to load. And trying to reverse engineer that as much as possible using my limited reverse engineering skills. So yeah, been doing that. And I already talked about Jumpman level editor. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was my dental work.
You get Atari carved into your tooth or something?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
exactly what I did. I got a new crown.
Uh-huh.
I went to the dentist, I got a new crown, and in the crown is the Atari logo.
I'll be darned.
And this is it. And jump scare, I'm going to show you a very close up of my mouth. There it is. It's
There it is.
It's on my back molar. Way back here.
Oh my,
You
wow.
can't see it unless I'm really wanted to show it to you. But yes, I now have an Atari tooth.
That is dedication. I tell you what. Wow. I've never heard of that.
So
How did you find out that that was even an option?
yeah, that's my sister-in-law is a dental hygienist and has been for many, many years. And we were visiting with her, and she showed me she said she had a tattoo, and I said I didn't know you had a tattoo. And she shows me her tooth, and she had a peace sign on one of her teeth, her crowns. And I said I didn't know that was a thing. And she's like, yeah, it's a thing you can do. So I went to my dentist and I said, do you do this? And he's like, well, nowadays we print crowns in-house. They have a 3D tooth printer. He said, but if we send it out to the lab we used to use, they said they could do it. They had to like call and like talk to the lab, and they've never heard of this either. But they talked to the lab, and the guy at the lab said, yeah, we can do that. Send us a JPEG. So I went and found the Atari logo, and I sent it into them. And apparently, according to my dentist, the guy at the lab was just like, great, I love I know what this is. I love the Atari logo, and did it. And then so instead of, I had to wait a couple weeks for them to produce it. If they did it in house, if I got a crown in house, it would have taken an hour. But I had to have a temporary crown and come back a couple weeks later. But it was worth it because now I'm Atari on my teeth.
That's incredible.
With every bite I
I'm
take,
impressed.
BYTE. So anyway,
That's hard to top.
yep, I am more dedicated Atari person than any of y'all now.
Yes, that's true.
Apparently. All right. Wow. Well, you've definitely been a busy guy. Besides your teeth, all the traveling that you did. Sounds like you had a really cool show tour,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
got a
The
couple interviews.
shows were great. I got a couple interviews. There's going to be some interviews coming soon. I have them. I just
Nice.
need to edit them, which we all know is the fun part. So, yeah.
All right. Awesome. Bradley, let's move over to you. See what you've been up
just
to, sir.
skip me. There's no way I can
It's not a
Come
competition,
on.
Brad. But you did get a giant Atari Fuji on your chest, right?
well,
On your
actually,
chest.
yeah, no, no, it's, I'm not showing that off yet. I got to do some more push-ups and get my Ricardo Montalban going. And anyway, one thing though, I got a 65 XE the other day, and never had one of those before.
Really?
Ooh, but
Oh, you never did?
mm-mm.
Where'd you get
And
it?
it was one of the guys did a rescue, and one of the things he got was this, 65 XE, so he gave it to me, and it worked, and it's pretty clean. It's really clean now. Uh, uh, I've
So you have a nice mushy keyboard, and
oh yeah, and although this one has the springs in it,
oh, it
is
does. Okay.
yes, and
Does that feel pretty good?
uh, yeah, I've um, it's right now. It's all torn apart on my kitchen counter. That and my 130 XE, I tore them apart and washed them, and man, peeling up those traces and scrubbing underneath them, then super gluing them back down. That was a pain in the butt. But anyway, they're all clean now. And okay, I'm just waiting for people to yell at their speakers enough at me. And yes, that was a joke. But anyway, the uh, I'm putting them back together because I washed all the keys. I'm letting the keys dry. And then I'll see how I'll compare the two, the 130XE, which has the non-springs, the I forget what they call them, but it's the really mushy,
Hmm.
and then the 65, which has the
Trademark
springs.
Trammell era
Yeah,
keyboards.
yeah. And although I was kind of impressed on the uh, how clean the layouts were between the two boards, and uh, and you can definitely tell they were manufactured in two different factories because the boards and the way the board was manufactured is just totally different, and which was interesting. But and the 65XE is, like I said, it was working. I hooked a Fuji net up to it at the meeting, and everything worked fine. Um, And I don't know. Yeah, I'll save this one for next meeting, next episode, because I got a line on multiple 65XCs, and we'll see what happens there. And but my, you know,
Those are fairly easy to acquire because seems like there's a lot of them, and people prefer the 130. If you got a
it's
130.
it's funny then if I guess it's just the luck of Brad. This is the first one that well, this is the first one I've ever owned. And it's really the first one, I've seen them before, but not like, you said they're easy to find. I've never really seen them laying around, 800 XLs. Oh yeah. You can't walk without stepping in a pile of 800 XLs, but the 65 XEs, to me, to my experience, here in maybe it's distribution, and here in the South they didn't get distribution very well or something, but you know not many, and because and actually, now I think about it, I looked it up uh, the other day when we were sitting there at the meeting. I looked it up, and one of the references said XE meant it was a European edition, which I found very strange. I think that was
I thought that was the
er,
800 XE.
800XE, yeah.
that's what I was about to say. That I think that was an error in the article
Yeah.
because we looked at the keyboard, and the keyboard was identical to my 130XE as far as the cap layout goes. The numerics and everything.
Right.
And uh, but you know, uh, whatever. 65XE is interesting, and the ports, don't match the 130, which I found surprising. I didn't realize that. So
How are they different? I don't
it doesn't
remember.
Yeah, I
have the
didn't.
expansion port.
Oh,
It just has the cartridge port
hmm.
because it's a it's the uh, well, it's the 600 XL, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it does have a monitor port,
Hmm. Okay.
which
Right.
I liked, and because I promptly hooked it up to my monitor, and it looked good.
They're the same
So
physical size. The 65XC and the 130 are like they are the
Yeah,
same
they're
physical
they're
size, aren't they?
identical.
they're
Yeah.
almost the cases are almost identical. They probably took the same molds and just tweaked them a bit. And because when I first was tearing them apart, I had to be careful to have my 130 and my 65 on the counter separate so I didn't get the parts mixed between
All
them
right. Yeah. Then
because
you'd
they
end
were
up with like
close
a
enough.
you'd end up with a 96 XE or something.
Yeah,
Or whatever's in between, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
and
Yeah, does anybody
Nice.
know the numbers produced, the 65XC versus the 130?
No.
It would seem like the
No.
130 would be the more popular one for sure. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I don't
it's
know what the
always
cost differential was.
yeah. That's just what I was about to say. Though we have to be careful of that because the cost will can sometimes drive the
Sales.
adoption.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
all right, Randy, what have you been up to?
Okay. I just been waiting for you to cue me up here. So VCF Southwest is coming up as we record here. It's coming up this week, uh, starting the 30th. Yeah, starting the 30th in Dallas Fort Worth area. So getting ready to head out there and check out what Atari stuff is going to be there. It looks like there's a really great set of exhibitors there, and the FujiNet team will be there as well. So I'll look up Tom and the team, and a lot of good talks going to occur there as well. My wife and I are getting on the train this week and heading out there, so should be fun. Looking forward to it.
Beautiful.
Never been to Southwest before, so I'll report on that next show.
Beautiful.
And the other thing was, and this is, you may have seen me look a little puzzled, Kay, when you were talking about Team Zinderneuf,
Hmm.
and you were talking about Robert Leyland,
Yeah.
because the other thing that I had planned to talk about was the fact that I picked up a power pad, a chalkboard power pad, uh, which I know you did an interview with Robert some time ago,
Yeah.
and he programmed Atari Artist, Koala Painter, and Micro Illustrator
Hmm.
that work with the chalkboard.
Uh, the chalkboard software was a variant of that. It was all the same software, for the Koala Pad and
Hmm.
for the Atari Light Pan. It was all the same software with minor tweaks. And yes, the version for the software that came with the chalkboard Power Pad was another version of that created by Leyland. Um, that thing is
So
huge. It's a
isn't that
huge.
huge?
It's like
Yeah,
if you took
wow.
a koala pad and just like
It's
multiplied
like
it,
three
it's like
size of
three
three or
times as
four.
wide. Yeah.
That's like physically
Yeah.
intimidating, that thing.
So does it work? Because I will say that in Michael Sternberg and I both got a chalkboard power pad a few months ago in order to test the software,
Hmm.
the source code, and neither of our power pads worked. And
They didn't
I
work at all.
right. Yeah,
No,
it's like,
I
well, I mean,
tested it
like, you
last
could touch
night.
the screen, you get like maybe the cursor would like glitch back and forth, like it's sort of, but no, you couldn't draw. So does yours work?
So it works, but it's not ideal. I mean, you have to touch kind of hard.
Hmm.
There's some sample basic programs that came with the Atari programming kit
Hmm.
that you could get for this, and they allow you to like the first program you can touch somewhere on the pad and it'll tell you the coordinates of it, and there's another one that will there's just several little utility programs like
Yeah.
that, and it'll work, but it's not very smooth. I mean, you have to press kind of hard, maybe tap kind of hard. I don't know if there's any sort of cleanup that you can do with these things to make them work better, but it definitely does work. It
Uh-huh.
just doesn't work great.
Okay. I think ours are like further along the line of where yours is going. Like we'll say
Okay.
yours is like, degrading, and the ones that Michael and I have are degraded. So I think
Okay.
something inside them dies
Yes.
over time. I think I found the guy who designed this, but he has not gotten back to me. I was going to ask him like, why does he think it doesn't work? They don't work anymore, and what can we do to fix it? The instructions on the thing, I don't know if yours came with instructions. The
It
instructions are,
did.
it was just like, do not open this. It's like,
It did. Yeah, I did see
it's
that.
just like,
And
Yeah.
so I got the feeling that like all the 100,000
Eh,
springs will pop out or
yeah,
something.
Yeah. It tells how you can, so it's got an overlay on it, right?
Hmm.
That has some play to it. It kind of puffs out a little bit, and
yeah,
you
it's
can loosen the screws. It says don't take them out, but you can loosen the screws and supposedly tighten it down. And I did that, but it didn't really tighten it down very much. Um, but yeah, the thing is just monstrous. It's been fun to play with. Like I said, I did prove that it works. I was going to try it with the Atari Artist and Koala Painter, and see if it worked
Yeah, I don't
better with
remember. It
those.
might work. Your XY might be reversed, or but it should work on some level. I don't
Okay.
I don't remember. Um, yeah,
I'll have to try mine. I've got one in the basement. I'll have to
yeah. But we
pull
did.
it out.
Oh,
But
do
we.
you?
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Try yours too. We'll have
yeah,
a power pad club, and we'll.
yeah.
You can't find much information online about these things. I don't,
Yeah.
they didn't, I don't know how many they sold, but, um, they're supposed to work with the Commodore 64 and the VIC 20, Apple II, and the IBM PC as well. Now, the connector I got was the one for the Atari and Commodore 64, and
Is it a
because they
joystick
plug into the
interface or?
joystick port.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it plugs into the joystick port. You can see the cable here. It's got the joystick connector on one end, and then it's got like I don't know if you
Phone,
can see
yeah,
that. It's
RJ11
like a phone connector on the other end. They give you a really long cord, which is nice. But anyway, that was fun. I saw it online. I didn't know much about it. It was actually pretty inexpensive, and I thought I'm just going to grab it to play with
Yeah,
it. Something to
Nice.
talk about on Antic.
Sure.
yeah.
Fun.
So
And somebody
yeah.
needs to roll the dice and take theirs apart and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. See what's in there. I'll try again. I'll make a note to try to find the designer again. Let's see if he wants to talk to me. But
You can actually find like just the pad that doesn't have any of the software or anything
hmm
with it,
hmm
probably pretty cheaply if somebody wanted to actually take one apart
yeah.
and not worry too much about it.
Yeah.
But this was a boxed version, and I still got it pretty cheaply.
Great. From
That's
eBay,
about it for me.
eBay or where did it come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it on eBay.
Nice.
All right. Well, let's move into the Atari news. We've got a lot of happenings.
Hmm.
going on, and Brad's going to start us out by talking about in the game category,
I'm sorry.
talking about
Every
drywall.
time I look at this, I want to call the man drywall, but
Drywall.
it's uh, or it's DRWAL, and
Is that
his
Drawl or Dr. Wall?
yeah,
Okay,
Dr. Wall,
Dr.
Dr.
Wall.
Wall, paging Dr. Wall. Anyway, and Dr. Howard, Dr. Anyway, his course of 6502 has completed, and he's done 34 lessons. And well, and you get if you follow along, you get a working game out of it, which is cool. And unfortunately, our Polish listeners are going to have to tell me much more about it. But guys, go out there and check it out. Atari Tech has a big article on it, and see his
80
you know
hours,
eight,
80
80
hours of
hours.
educational content
Mm-hmm.
on
From
6502 programming. Wow.
yep,
That's
and it's
amazing.
like very complete course on 6502 programming.
Very,
So,
very nice.
and the only thing in English I found is the countdown to the very beginning, where and after that it's in Polish. So let me know how it is, guys. And
You can
but
learn
for
you can learn Polish and 6502 assembly language at the same time.
um yeah, let me know how our Polish speakers can let me know how that goes.
All right, moving on. So we've got a new version of Tetris out called Tetris VBXE. Once again, it's from the Polish programmers. This one by Tomasz Biela. Of course, it uses the VBXE, so you've got extended color palette, you've got greater resolution, and in terms of gameplay, the game features a simple and functional control scheme. Joystick allows movement and rotation of the pieces, while pressing down activates a rapid descent to the lower area. So another version of Tetris, but this one takes advantage of the VBXE if you've got one. Seems like there's more and more stuff coming out that works with the VBXE and
It's
taking
pretty.
advantage of the improved graphics that you can get. Yeah. Yeah, Kay's got it up there on the screen, and you can see it in action.
Very nice.
All right. Also, there's a new game called Las Vegas Video Poker by Ditto. 100% built utilizing Claude AI, and it's a nice little version of video poker if you like poker, which I do. I have to play poker, and
Nice.
check it out.
Little graphics, very little cards, very nice. Cool.
And
Brady, you want to talk about the next one?
what's that? Oh,
You want to talk about the next one?
yeah. Yeah, if you want a text adventure in the Scott Adams style of his line of adventure games, there is they call it the Scott Free Adventure Editor, and now they have a Atari interpreter for it, so you can create the text adventures, and then write those up, then run them on your Atari and give them out to the Atari world.
Nice.
And
Scott Free is a cute name.
yeah, and the
It is
anyway,
indeed that. I love that name. All right, let's move into new and updated software. So we've been talking about emulators a little bit with Rob, and here's another one. I'm really excited about this one. This is a really cool. It's called Pocket Fuji. Last episode, we talked about the fact that there was a Pocket Fuji built for Android, and now Andy Diller has created one for iOS. Um, it's a really nice Atari 8-bit emulator with integrated FujiNet that will run on the iPhone or iPad, and it's really cool. It's about in the sixth iteration or so now, so he keeps making some tweaks to it. But upon launch, it boots directly into the FujiNet configuration interface, and then you can browse TNFS servers, mount disk images, and so on, exactly as you would on a real machine. But you can have it right there on your phone or your iPad. It emulates the 800XL. It does support multiple machine types. Yeah, so Kay's got it. Booting into FujiNet there on screen. Yep, there's the standard
Yeah, it goes straight to the
FujiNet interface.
Fuji interface, and then yeah, you could just like hit L and go to the lobby. And yeah, the first thing I did with this was go in and play some of the FujiNet games, the Battleship and things, and it's just like you got an Atari on your phone, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. That what this allows me to do. I've been talking for some time about wanting to be able to categorize or document all of my collection, but I want to use an Atari computer to do it. But I couldn't figure out, if I'm at a show or a flea market or something and I want to check what I've got and what I don't have, how am I going to do that? Well, this kind of answers that question. I mean,
Hmm. Hmm.
I can use a real Atari or an emulator to input all the data, use whatever database software I want, and then I could bring it up. As long as I've got the data in a place that I can get to it from the phone emulator as well, I could just bring it up on the phone and see what I've got.
Wasn't Wade
So,
working on some like FujiNet enabled database thing?
he's got Fuji, what's he called? FujiDo
Fuji
or
do Fuji.
Cube, Cube, Cube something, Cube Dot. Yeah, Cube Dot. And then he wrote several applications that utilize that. Yeah, but I mean, this is even easier, right? I mean, as long as you can, I could probably run my own TNFS server or something and
Right. I
store
mean,
my
you
data
could run
file there.
FujiDo on your Atari on your phone and keep your reports, uh, in
You
your
mean Pocket Fuji?
Pocket Fuji. Yeah, Cube Dot. Yeah. What I think what Rob was saying is you could use one of Wade's programs as your database running on your phone.
Yeah, or even connect to it through FujiNet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Rob, you're right. I know that Wade was working on actually building a uh, a program in CubeDot
Hmm.
that for this very purpose, for documenting your collection.
Hmm.
But I haven't heard anything from him for a while on that. I don't know where he stands. Anyway, this is really cool. Pocket Fuji, Andy Diller, great job with that, and should just keep getting better and better.
Yeah. Last I checked, I might be wrong on this. Last I checked, though, it's still in beta, so you have to have
Yeah, you're
the
right.
the pre-flight or whatever it's called testing thing, and he has
Test
to invite
flight.
test flight.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, but if you ask Andy nicely, he'll let you in, and I suppose soon enough it will be public, just available in the App Store.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think you had some sort of follow-up to that.
Uh, yeah. Why did they put this here? I saw on Atari Orbit that they did a neat article about something called VBXE term, which allows full ANSI graphics on the Atari. It says Brad Colbert has been working on a new project for his VBXE enhanced Atari, an ANSI terminal using VBXE's output as a real full terminal experience. So this allows you to see, full color ANSI graphics, like if you were using a PC on a BBS back in the day. And 80 columns, looks like colorful and very pretty. And I like it.
There's so many colors on a
Yeah.
VBXE. Like it still doesn't look like an Atari to me. It's like that's too many colors.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently it's still very early, but looks like a neat idea. I like it. And also maybe related. This is just like a hint, just like a teaser that I found in a couple places, and I don't think
Saw
it's
this.
it's really there yet. But someone has announced King DOS D/OS, a modern OS on retro hardware, and Raj S. Magdula Magugula, excuse me, says side project I've been working on for the last 2 years. Finally made a breakthrough. This is King DOS, a modern OS on retro hardware. My goals were FujiNet first, preemptive multitasking, modern GUI paradigm meant for resource-constrained devices. Not a window desktop OS with mouse like GOS or something. D/OS stands for Dock OS, patterned after iOS or Mac OS-like experience. The GUI is meant to be a pleasing, even in black and white, on HDMI connected to an Atari 80-column text without special hardware. SHA-256 security via FujiNet, as well as network and everything. CC65 development SDK, so third-party developers can develop for it. App key when I get to it. And so there is just a couple of tantalizing pictures of a neat little operating system. There's a shell. There's a basic graphical interface where you can click on like editor and terminal and settings and things. It looks like simple. It looks like if you're using like a Palm OS device or something, just like that sort of interface. Anyway, so I don't think it's released yet. It's just kind of a thing I saw on Facebook, and something someone's working on.
Yeah, it seemed like it was kind of a teaser, and I haven't seen much activity on it
Yeah.
since it was first announced, but it would be great. I think it looks awesome.
Mhm.
Also from Tom Cherryholmes, this is very recent, just came out this week. Tom announced that he added a network protocol adapter for FujiNet that allows you to talk to your personal Google Drive, just like any other network endpoint on FujiNet. So if you use Google Drive to store things, you can now access those using NDOS. And he says it's in master and will be in the next release. I guess he's talking about of the FujiNet firmware. So he did create a video out there where he shows it in action, and actually he kind of jumps back and forth between a web interface where he shows his Google Drive and then his Atari, and shows that from his Atari he's accessing the directory and files on his Google Drive. I think that's just fantastic. Tom's a genius. That's what I told him. That was my post. Is
Mhm.
Tom, you're a genius.
That's great. Super useful. Love it.
The next one is Altera SDL. I guess we already talked about that. Um, Rob has been playing with that, and I've been playing with that a little bit too. Did you play with Altera SDL Lobby at all as well, Rob?
I have not. I've this is gonna question my Atari bona fides, but I've not even done, I've done not done anything with FujiNet at all. I don't have one. I haven't tried it in emulation. I
Oh,
haven't,
really?
yeah.
Wow.
So this is all way beyond me, I think. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I that is something. I think isn't both Fujisan and Altira SDL aren't they bundled with the FujiNet emulator?
Yes, they are. Hmm.
So yeah, that should be a low barrier to entry. So I'll have to try that. It'll be on my to-do list.
Okay. Well, there's a new lobby, a portion of this that Ilmenit created. He's the one that's developing an Altera SDL. It's in public beta right now, but it's a web-based front end for Altera SDL. Runs right in your browser. So it gives you a standalone emulator in your browser. No install needed. It has a curated game library. So you can browse and play a selection of Atari 8-bit titles directly from the lobby. And there's a play together option where the host can pick a game. It appears in the lobby, and other players can simply join the session and play together over the internet.
Now, is this
Um,
specific to the Altira lobby, or is this something that FujiNet supports? Like, can you fire up like two copies of, Jumpman in one place and another place and play over the network on FujiNet? Or is that my
well, I think this is using FujiNet in some way, but through Altira SDL.
so
So
this
this
is
is
like
this is separate from the lobby that's in FujiNet.
okay, but so this to do this, you would have to have like Altira SDL on both ends. I is that kind of the way this works?
Yeah, but you're just using the web version of Altera SDL. So the other player can come in and it says that for solo or play together, you don't need to configure an emulator. In online play, for a player that's joining, his port one controller is mapped to port two, so the second player acts as player two in games. So any game that has it sounds like any game that has a multiplayer mode, um, you could get another player online through this.
It sounds really cool.
It does, doesn't it? It's doing some great stuff there. Um, Something else I wanted to mention in terms of Altera and Altera SDL, to me, this is kind of big. I don't know. It's I don't know how much actually been publicized or how much people have actually used it. I like to believe that this came about because of a suggestion that I made. I was looking for ways I wanted an editor that would actually do, auto suggest so that as you're typing your program, it would help you complete the command by giving you hints as to, what would go next. And, that's a common feature in modern editors, code editors. Um, so the auto suggest feature has been added to Altira now. And there's at least a few commands that are supported. It includes peek poke addresses in BASIC and file name expansions on these drives. So you can type the command like peek or poke, and it will bring up something that will tell you kind of what would come next and give you some hints on what you could use. So it's sort of a helper to help you program. Altera SDL was updated then to use that same code base, and then some more commands were added for this autocomplete feature, including automatic line number, variable autocomplete, auto suggestions with tab for approval, and that sort of thing. So I think this is very cool. I don't know about what others think of this. But you know, if you're not using AI to do programming and you're actually programming yourself, this could be handy.
That is cool.
Nice.
So you're like typing in the regular, ecolon editor and this and stuff suggestions pop up. That is
Yeah.
really cool.
Hmm, nifty.
Somebody want to take this next one? I feel like I've been talking a lot.
I think Rob wants to take it.
Brad? Rob?
I looked at this. Um, it's it seems like um you remember Stephen Hugg's website? I think it's 8-Bit Workshop, where he had a bunch of
Yes,
Oh,
emulators
sure.
and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff in the browser. It looks very similar.
it
Um,
does.
I pulled it up and just was like there's a huge host of machines that it supports, a bunch of consoles, even up to 16-bit stuff. They had ST and I think like Amstrad
Let's
and
give some context here. Um, it's called TRSE. Now in your browser, no install, no setup, just retro coding. Um,
Well, there's really two pieces to this. One is the editor itself, which is what Rob was talking about.
mhm.
And then there's also the fact that it now supports Turbo Rascal syntax error, TRSE, right?
I gotta
yeah, it's
say, I
like
don't.
a like a
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, so this is like a web-based retro development environment. So you go to this web
Hmm.
page and it has a code editor and an emulator, and a whole bunch of sample programs. So you can do all your development right in the website, is what it appears to me. But yeah, it supports all these different machines. They have all these example programs, and then I didn't really look into the Rascal language. Um,
I think we've talked about that before, but I don't remember anything.
but yeah, it says it's a Pascal-inspired um, syntax, and it says it sits a middle ground between readability and low-level control. Um, I didn't see one of those. I didn't look at one of those examples on the site,
Well,
but
the
they,
interesting thing about Turbo Rascal is that you can write programs that target all of these machines. I mean, you can write your program and then you can just say, you can compile it to work on Commodore 64, the Atari 8-bit, the Apple II, Commodore PET, and so on. There's a whole list of platforms that you can target.
yeah, maybe I was looking at some of that because I there were examples, and it seemed to be mostly text-based output. So you'd write stuff, and then it would target whatever machine with like a 40 by 24 text screen. Um, some of
Which
the
would
other
make sense,
examples,
right? Since they all do graphics differently, it'd
right?
be
Yeah,
hard
it
to.
would be extremely tough to do any sort of meaningful graphics in
Mhm.
in a cross-platform way. Um, but they supported other languages. There was like they supported C. There were several different assemblers that they supported, and there were examples. The Atari examples were mostly, it seemed, in the text mode. They had a few simple graphics with player missile, but the Commodore 64, for instance, had just like it seems like hundreds of examples. So I think it was more maybe. Um, I think some platforms were supported better than others, but the Atari was there for sure.
I mean, you're right. This seems so much like the 8-Bit Workshop site that we've talked about on here before. Um, I
Yeah,
don't
the
know if there's
interface is
a,
very similar for sure. Yeah.
yeah, it's very
Yeah, I mean,
similar.
in the in with the IDE thing, the editor.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm looking
yeah,
at it. I mean, it on the left side is pre-populated with a demo with code, and on the right side is the emulator, and you can make an edit on the left side editor, and then instantly see how it runs on the right
right.
side. Right, it's all right in your browser. I changed something from color black to color green, and hit play, and there, sure enough, there it was. Um, it's wild. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's very cool. So, we've never talked about that editor before. We have talked about 8-Bit Workshop.
Hmm.
Um, so there's really two main points, I guess, to this particular news article. One is that editor, which is very cool and will allow you to target Atari 8-bit platform. And then the Turbo Rascal language itself, which also would allow you to write programs for the Atari 8-bit that also could run on other systems as well.
Cool. Wild.
All right. Next up, Brad, you want to talk about the AI trained with Atari Basic? Have you played with that
Sure.
at all?
Yeah. Well, it's programming stuff, and that's generally not my forte. So I looked at it though. So and I can read, or though maybe I should have an AI do that for me. And uh, the AI trained with Atari Basic. Atari Techa has a article on it that they've used Google's Notebook LM with Atari Basic, and there's some discussion at the Atari Online forums too. But it says using Google's Notebook LM, the AI model was fed with knowledge from Atari Basic programming books. The result is a publicly available that LLM model that redundant that understands how to program in this language for small Ataris. It's very helpful for playing with the language and being publicly available. You can interact with it with no charge. And someone has created. Uh, oh no, that's the person's name is Atari Puzzle, who took it and created Castle Quest, a space themed. Wait a minute, this is confusing. From a space themed variant to,
Thought you said you could read.
yeah, no, obviously not. Either that or I am an AI, and
Mm,
this is what you get,
hmm. Hmm.
uh, which is actually probably closer to truth. But Atari Puzzle created a game called Castle Quest, and they talk about uh, was compiled into basic files on an ATR disk and all kinds of words that it's starting to look like uh, well, it's starting to look like it was written by AI. So, um, but
It could
uh,
have been. I don't know.
yeah,
It,
because it's like I don't understand a lot of programming, but anyway, the word soup of the
Yeah, it's kind of a article's kind of a mess. I don't know if it's just because it's
yeah,
translated from Polish or because it's
yeah,
translated from Polish AI.
yeah, and so yeah, and I'm trying to read it, so it's probably it makes it even worse. But
So
hey,
I went to the LM thing, and I just said um, how to enter ANTIC mode 4 in Atari Basic, and it spat out a little thing that seems to give a reasonable
yeah,
explanation of how to
you
do
can
it.
see that there's quite a few sources that were input
Hmm.
to this AI to give it context for things. So
Yeah,
yeah, you
um,
would hope it would be able to do something like that.
yeah.
If it doesn't, then
Okay.
yeah, well, something else to play
yeah,
with,
Hmm.
and
that's right.
more AI to train because the AI training project that they tried well, was it a year ago, 2 years ago? kind of ran into too early in the AI curve, I
Oh,
guess.
when folks were playing with it on
with
the Antic Discord, you mean?
Uh-huh.
with Jason Moore. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah,
yeah.
what happened with that? It was just too not ready yet.
It's
It seemed like it.
Yeah.
Nothing really happened with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in my playing experience, I not too much with basic, but it's the some of the LLMs are pretty good at 6502 assembly now. Um, in my doing my Jumpman stuff, in Jumpman, the game Jumpman Junior, um, unlike Jumpman where you can play random levels and whatever, Jumpman Junior is meant to be played starting at level one, and if you succeed at level one, you can go to Jumpman to level two, and if you see, so it's I don't remember his like 10 levels or something like that. Some of the levels I've never seen because I kept dying before I got there. So I handed Codex a Jumpman Junior ROM, and I'm just like, I want to be able to play any level. I want you to write me a thing, a level chooser at the beginning of the game. And it thought about it for 15 minutes, and it just handed me back the ROM that does it, and it just worked. So um, if it can do 6502 assembly language like that, where we can add a level picker to a binary without having access to the source code, it can probably draw a house in Atari Basic by now.
let's hope.
Probably more than I can do. Oh,
Right. Yeah.
okay. All right, let's move on to publications. So we've got some news here about publications. First up, the Atari Insights newsletter by John Zilke. The May issue is out. A couple or a few highlights from it. He was building out a FujiNet weather station project using Atari Basic, and he's got that working now. It will pull live weather data to keep you informed and guess. Um, keep you informed and guess what it. Okay, that text doesn't look right. Anyway, it'll get time from FujiNet clock. You can track your town weather, another city, that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. What else is in there? It's got an article about no batch files, no problem. So how to write batch files using DOS 2.0 or 2.5. The action article by Wade Ripkowski on using the define statement in action. There's the logo article by MJ Deaver. There's an X handler, which is a reprint, which tells you how to use the unused 16K in an XLXE as a disk. And he's got an ongoing article about, or a series of articles about the Atari 400 Mini, as well as an article about Atari Lab and Disk Fixer from APX. So there's a lot of Atari content in there, certainly worth checking out. And then there's Compute's Gazette. First of all, I want to say condolences to James Nagel. He reported in his latest issue that his son had passed away recently. Very tragic. Not sure exactly what happened there, but definitely feel for James. But it hasn't impacted the publication of the magazine. He did also report that Compute's Gazette now owns the historical works published under the Compute and Compute's Gazette mastheads from 79 through 94. So they now own all of that.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
As far as Atari stuff in there, there's an article about Basic is not dead. There's an article on game cover art for the 8-bit. There's a review of the game Trap for the Atari. The Atari Outpost article by Jerry White. John Zilke from Atari Basics, as just talked about, is joining the Atari staff and is going to be writing the Insight Atari column now, which is a new column for the magazine. That'll have news, tips, and programs from across the Atari community. And then Tom Cherryholmes has his ongoing articles about writing FujiNet multiplayer games. And this one is writing the FujiNet Battleship client. So lots of Atari content in April's Computes Gazette.
Very nice.
Okay, I think you had some stuff.
Yeah, a short one. There's a podcast that I listen to sometimes, and my wife listens to often, called Omnibus, an encyclopedia reference of strange but true stories compiled as a time capsule for future generations. And they recently did an episode about Nolan Bushnell, in which an Atari founder turns borrowed ideas into a gaming empire, makes a killing, and launches Rick's Rat Pizza, guided by futureling Kelly Boucher. So this is an hour and a half in which they spend some of that time talking about Nolan Bushnell. I have not listened to this. My wife was hassling me to listen to it, and I have not. But you could.
It's always interesting to listen to podcasts who sort of they don't know Atari like we do, and they end up saying a bunch of wrong things about Atari stuff, and they're what authoritative on their business side or whatever, but
Right.
um,
Yeah. Yeah, I find myself being in the position of, am I going to be the well actually guy? No, they're fine. They're allowed to do, someone's wrong on the internet. Can't go to bed yet, honey. Yeah. Um, I also, as part of our publications thing, always like to look and see what's going on at atariprojects.org. And there's a bunch of new things added in the last month, including projects include purchase and use an ATR 8000 for booting the CPM operating system, explore old photos of Atari 8-bit computer setups, repair an Atari 800 XL that does not boot cartridges by replacing the GTIA chip, and generate a random number using the RND and peek commands in Atari Basic. So always fun to check Atari projects and
Jason does a great job
see
with
what
that.
Dr.
Yeah.
Jason comes up with. Yeah,
Obviously, I was doing it wrong because he says you can set up and boot your ATR 8000 CPM in 2 hours. I need to read this article because it took me a lot longer than 2 hours.
Well, your next Atari project, Brad, is to find your chalkboard power pad and see if it works. So
Yeah, there we go.
run report back, please.
I'll probably be able to actually handle that one. I hope.
All right. Well, we added another category here, apparently, called the company that calls itself Atari. There's always something going on with them. And I think, Kay, you got a couple things you wanted to mention here.
Yeah, I just saw this last night. Brad was mentioning his dream of stepping in a pile of 800 XLs. And according to Time Extension, I think they were the first to report it, that the company that calls itself Atari has filed a trademark for 800 XL. So what does that mean? Does
Yeah.
that mean
What does that mean?
what does that mean? That basically that's the news item, and the rest of it is just like what does that mean? Are they going to do
Speculation, yeah.
yeah, are they going to do a 800 XL mini or an 800 XL full size or
Maxi, yeah.
a maxi? What? Anyway, but something is happening because you don't file a trademark and throw money and lawyers at that without a reason. So that is hopeful, maybe that we're going to get another Atari 8-bit from the modern Atari.
I'd be real disappointed in a mini,
Yeah,
in another mini.
Yeah.
and I bet that's what it's going to be.
So, and I also kind of wonder what that means for the RM 800 XL, which I'm sure
Right.
I'm the Revive Machines thing, which I'm sure is going to be released any day now. Um,
Yeah. It's only
um,
been what, 2, 3 years?
yeah. Anyway, their website's unchanged, and they still claim that they're coming out with it, but it's been quiet. Does the trademark mean anything to them? I don't know. I don't think they're a United States-based company, so probably not. But anyway, so maybe a couple of chances to get some sort of 800 XL in the future. Related, the Amiga A1200 revamp, which was supposed to be out in June, is originally scheduled for a mid-June release, has been delayed, and the makers now say it will be out December 4th, 2026, with no other changes other than a delay. And you can pre-order it on Amazon, um, and that's all I know. So I'm kind of excited for that. I hope that they
I
make their
had
deadline.
pre-ordered it. Did you pre-order it, Kay?
No, didn't.
No.
I didn't. I thought about it. I didn't really see the advantage of
I'm going to wait.
doing. Yeah, I thought I'd wait and see. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Gotta wait till it comes out and drops
yeah,
in
and
price by
order it the day it's
25%.
released or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wait.
I'll put a link to it in the show notes on Amazon. But it says it's supposed to be $190 basically, and
Yeah.
Amazon has now changed their yes, the item will release December 4th, 2026.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bradley, I think you had something.
Yeah, I was just looking around and speaking of, the company that calls themselves Atari, which, can't call them infograms anymore because they're not that.
Nope.
So I don't know but anyway, they have bought the rights. You got to read the article because it's convoluted. So what else is new? Rights uh, to Wizardry. This is one of the old school RPGs back in the, started on the Apple II 8-bit era. They were a peer of Ultima kind of thing, Wizardry, and it really big in Japan. Wizardry was like 5 times more popular in Japan than it was here in the U.S. But Atari has bought the rights to uh, at least part of Wizardry.
The first five Wizardry
Yeah.
games and the underlying IP,
Mhm.
but not in Japan.
Yeah, it gets messy. IP. As soon as you say IP, it's messy.
Right.
And but uh, and I just found it interesting that Atari bought the rights to this game that was here in the U.S. It was predominantly known as an Apple II game,
Hmm.
and it was they've had versions of Wizard, and there's a lot of them. I didn't realize there was so many iterations or Wizardry games. There's a lot of them, and they've come out from pretty much on every platform known to man. Well, except the Atari 8-bits. There was no Wizardry on the Atari 8-bits, which I actually thought there was one, but nope, there wasn't, as far as I know. So, which I, if the obviously we know if the Apple II could run it, the Atari could run it easily.
Yeah, it wouldn't
And
seem there would be any technical limitation because it's not at least the original one certainly is not a graphics heavy
yeah,
game. It must maybe just the disk space, because we had 90K disks, maybe they couldn't do it without shipping on,
yeah,
14 floppies or something.
it something. Probably, actually, probably, uh, you know, well, the first version we know is the guys who wrote it. They had an Apple II. They didn't have an Atari. And when it came time to do porting, it was probably long enough. I was looking at some of the release dates, and uh, they would have been later in the Atari's life cycle. So, it's like, well, and Atari didn't do themselves any favors with, courting publishers. When when it get when it gets out that you've told a publisher to take a hike, uh, yeah, you know,
That should be
Yeah.
like the subtitle of Atari. It's like did everything possible to alienate people.
yeah, and but anyway, so the wizardry is now or at least the first half of it is a property of Atari, and so who knows what will happen with that?
Maybe we'll
And,
finally get wizardry for the 8-bits.
yeah, and
Nice.
more of a chance now than was before, probably. And you can play it with your new joystick.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll
There he
try to
is.
set you
There's the
up.
guy. There's the guy that knows how to set up other people.
Mm.
All right. So we're moving on to new and updated hardware. And the first item is it came via our friend Bill Kendrick, former ANTIC game correspondent. And Bill Bill wrote in to say that there was a new joystick controller that we might want to take a look at and report on. It looks just like the CX40, but the difference is it's clicky. So when you press the button, it's clicky. When you move the joystick, it's clicky. And other than that, it looks, Kay's got it up here on the screen for those that are watching. You can see it looks identical to the Atari CX40, but the
Do
clickiness of
you
it is
want
kind of
clicky
cool.
or do you want sloppy?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's a personal preference, right?
I
It
guess.
probably depends on the game
Mm,
because there are some games that, you know, a little slop is okay. Others you want really tactile. I want to go now. I got to make this turn right this, instant. At
right.
least that's what good gamers tell me.
What do you think, Rob?
So I guess
Clicky or sloppy, Rob?
I don't know. I like the Epix 500. Was it 500 XJ? That was a super clicky
Mm,
joystick. That was my favorite one. So
hmm
I may have to vote for clicky.
All right.
I
Fair enough.
guess I'm more for quiet, but I can see the advantage of, you hear that click, you know that it registered,
Right.
right? Which is something that you don't know on a non-clicky device. Um, anyway, kind of cool. Thanks, Bill, for pointing it out. Kay, I think you had something to mention as
Yeah,
well.
I got a interesting message on Mastodon from Kim Slauson. He said, "Don't know if you've seen and or want to mention this on a podcast, but I love specifically how specifically anti-best this site is without naming any names." And I'll show you the thing. It seems to be some sort of message maybe from Instagram or something from a place called Atari Repair Parts. Um, the best Atari parts at reasonable prices, they say, and and it says, we're a group of Atari enthusiasts just like you. We got tired of high prices and hoop jumping that other Atari dealers required just to have a simple order. So we decided to make our own products and make them available, offer them reasonable prices. What you won't find here, maximum order limits, high prices, bizarre and restrictive payment options, lifetime limits, being banned or blacklisted for asking questions. And it says we offer the best quality parts at reasonable. So this is
Best,
clearly
best in caps, in all caps, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
clearly a slight at people who have had problems with shopping at Best Electronics. And I looked at Atari repairparts.com, and honestly, they don't have that much yet for the Atari
Right.
8-bit. They got some parts for fixing your 2600 joysticks. They've got 6502 CPUs, um, uh, and thing LED 1200 1200 XL LED light board light thing. So they have a few things. It looks like um, they're working on increasing their inventory. But so I don't know if this is the best place to shop, but they are a new alternative, I guess, so
I feel like Atari parts are very thinly veiled shade.
yes, yeah. So thank you, Kim, for sharing that news.
All right. Well, let's move into the other category.
Hmm.
And Kay, you're first up here. I think had
Yeah,
something you want to mention.
so this one this is vague, sort of Atari related, and I had trouble with it. It's called the Virtual OS Museum. It's gotten a lot of buzz in the last few days. It's a virtual museum of operating systems and standalone applications running under emulation, implemented as a Linux VM for QEMU, VirtualBox, or UTM. And it emulates everything from early mainframes to home computers, including Atari 8-bit, Commodore, Apple II, that sort of thing. But I think what it is, the real benefit here is you can do um, Multex and CTSS and VAX VMS and really obscure stuff, Smalltalk environments and BIOS and Newton OS and stuff. Apparently, um, more than 250 platforms, and there's all these screenshots. Um, I tried to install it, and actually, I mean, I got it downloaded, and I was confused by right from the beginning. I did not understand how to get it properly installed on my Mac, and so I walked away and gave up. So it was too much for my level of interest and patience, but it does look like a really nice way to emulate slash simulate slash whatever a whole lot of different operating systems. If you just want to do Atari 8-bit, there's easier ways to do it for sure.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Um, anyway, so
But wow, yeah, like lots of nostalgia hit me right there with some of those screenshots.
yeah. And so some of them are nostalgic, and some of it are just like, oh, I've never heard of or seen this thing, So, um, yeah. So anyway, it is Virtual OS Museum, worth checking out if you're a certain kind of nerd.
All right, cool. So you want to talk about Club Med and Atari?
Sure, I always want to talk about Club Med and Atari. A new article that you found, Randy, at Retroist called "When Club Med Met Atari," and it is oh, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at it without sharing it this time. I'm just like, ooh, look at the pictures. When Club Med Met Atari, and it has nice pictures, and it talks about the history of Club Med, and then getting into their partnership with Atari that started in 1982 when they um, decided to have an Atari village at certain Club Med's locations. Um, they anyway they tell the story. I don't really know how much they've drawn from my work and scans because I did all the work and scans on this a few years ago. Um, but yeah, neat little article. Anything you want to add about this, Randy?
No, I just thought it was a really cool article. I knew that you had done some
At
work.
Club
You had
Med, you can water
interview
skill,
with Linda Brownstein
play tennis,
Hmm.
some time ago.
Yeah, yeah, she was in charge of that project, and
or sail,
so yeah,
windsurf,
um,
or play volleyball.
and
At Club
Bob,
Med, you can exercise everything,
sorry, I've got
including
Bob Kahn,
the right not to exercise.
interviewed him. So
any-
yeah, so I'm sorry if it's playing a Club Med commercial at me and I can't think. So yeah, neat little article
It's a
about that.
long article.
Hmm.
I was surprised that the work you did wasn't referenced, honestly, but
Yeah.
it's
It's
Certainly a
fine.
piece of history.
It's fine.
It's certainly a piece of history I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
All right. So I didn't know we were going to have a new section called the company that calls itself Atari. But so I put this in the other category. But they're now offering a couple of smartwatch bands. So give your Apple Watch a high score upgrade with a band that shows off your love of Atari arcade games. You can choose from two versions. Asteroids or 1982 Retro. It includes two adapters to accommodate all sizes of the Apple Watch, and it's also compatible with most Samsung and Android smartwatches, as well as other watches that have a 22 millimeter pin. So these are kind of cool. $40 is a little high in my
For a watch
opinion.
band?
For a watch
Yeah.
band.
I don't know about
But
that.
if they had a Space Invaders one, I'd probably order one right now. But it's kind of cool to see them doing this.
All right. Fun. We'll have watch this space.
Um, also wanted to mention there seems to be another Atari sales and service option.
No, we should really
someone-
organize the show notes and move things around. This almost makes sense. I just talked about the other place.
Yeah. Well, this is for sales and service though. This is
Okay.
for the computers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually getting them serviced or buying a system rather than buying parts.
Mm-hmm.
A8 Renegade posted on Atari Age that he's opened a new Shopify store. He offers repairs of XL and XE systems, upgrades, and modifications. He has many different systems for sale. He even has 1088 XEL boards, a 600 XL, 576 XL remake, and so on. I guess he does sell some parts. He has an AV breakout board, some Pico carts, and he says he's going to be adding more to the site. Over 50 Ataris from the 400 through the 130XE. So there's another option. I personally don't have any experience with a Renegade, so I can't tell you whether they do a good job or not, but I have seen a couple of good reviews.
Atari's 576XE new custom system built in 130XE factory case.
So it's got a new motherboard in it, but it's got an actual real 130XE case.
Wonder how squishy the keyboard is. Neat.
Yeah, good question.
All right. Well, welcome to the family, A8 Renegade. It's great.
We'll keep an eye on that. But for those of you that are not hardware inclined, maybe another option to get them worked on. Okay, upcoming computer shows. So we're going to cover the ones through August of this year because there are still quite a few in the remainder of the year. And I'm going to kick it off here with VCF Southwest. I talked about earlier that is just coming up this week as of this recording, May 29th through the 31st at the Westin Dallas Fort Worth Airport. I would be happy to give autographs if you're going to be there. Although I'm not having an exhibit there, I'm just going to be walking around mainly on Saturday, probably.
All right.
Somebody else want to jump in?
Retrofest 2026 is May 30 to 31 in the Steam Museum of the Great Western Railway in Swindon, UK.
Nice. Rob, make yourself useful. Read a thing.
How about the Korgs Con, the Columbus, Ohio Retro Gaming Society meeting, June 6th to 7th at the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus, Ohio.
And the Chilliwack and Vancouver Retro Gaming Expo, June 20th in New Westminster, British Columbia, Canada. I'd just like to say Chilliwack.
Silly Adventure Summer Edition is July 30th through August 2nd in Gdansk, Poland.
Which is more fun to say, Gdansk or Chilliwack?
Ooh,
I don't know. That's
that's
a
a
tough one.
competition. That's
But the Southern Fried Gaming Expo with the Vintage Computer Festival Southeast is July 31st through August 2nd in Atlanta, Georgia.
the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo is August 7th through 9th at the Cradle of Aviation in Garden City, New York.
And Fujiyama is August 26th through 30th in Langenfeld, Germany. It's a lot of shows.
Okay. Plenty of shows to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we're going to jump into YouTube videos. Actually, we've got several here, but I'll try to run through it fairly quickly. I did find an interesting video from We Fix Stupid Computers.
See, I was offended right from the beginning on that.
It's called Inside a 1979 Computer. It's very short videos, but it's an Atari 800 teardown. Is the first one, and I can't tell exactly how long it is, but it's very, very quick.
26 seconds, so yeah.
26 seconds. Yeah, it's just a short.
We Fix Stupid Computers should have been about the Commodore 64.
That's right.
The same gentleman then had a follow-up video where he actually puts it back together.
You know, so it took him 29 seconds to take it apart, but 3 minutes and 19 seconds to put it back together.
That's about right, isn't it?
Not that stupid, is it, sir?
Well, 2 minutes was probably him lifting the big aluminum shell.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought those were kind of cool,
Right.
regardless of the name of the of the site. Flash Jazz Cat has a video about upgrading an Atari 800 with HDMI video and audio. He puts an Incognito, a super color CPU board, a Sophia 3, and a Pokémax 4 into an Atari 800. So he builds out a very, very nice Atari 800.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah. Fujinet Go 800 for Android. We talked about that on the last episode, that there was such a thing. Tom Cherry Holmes created a short for it that you can find out on YouTube if you want to see it in action. And finally, on an earlier episode, we talked about an app for Fujinet called Fish, which is a shell for finding and loading files from TNFS servers. So it will provide a searchable index of files available across a public pool of TNFS servers, allowing users to search, browse, mount, and run images through Fujinet without having to remember server paths. Gentleman by the name of George Agenda. I don't know if that's his actual name or that's the handle anyway. Create a video on using that. It really is pretty cool. You can set it up as an alternate config for Fujinet so that when you go into Fujinet, it would go there instead of the standard Fujinet interface. And I didn't even know you could do that you could set up a different config file. And I actually asked him how you could do it. Were you guys aware that you could go to a whole different interface if you wanted to? Yeah. But you have to do it from the web version of the Fujinet config. You can actually set up a different config application there. And so the next time you boot up Fujinet, you could go into Fish instead of going into the standard Fujinet config file.
Man, I really have to experiment with FujiNet. Yeah, is the FujiNet experience on the emulators pretty
Yeah.
comparable to? Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah. It's identical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna that'll be yes, add that to my list of stuff. After Jumpman, I think Jumpman's gotta come
Oh, cool.
first.
Great. Another 10 years
All
then.
right.
Yeah, right.
Kay's got quite a few items here about stuff happening at GitHub.
Yeah, it seems like it's tis the season for people to get down to projects. We're going to do GitHub stuff in roughly the order that I understand things. We're starting things with I can explain them, and then we're going to get to things where I'm just like, I have no idea what this is. First, and these are all things they found on GitHub that they may be released, they may be just someone's personal project, your mileage may vary. First of all, we have something called A8 Revs BBC, which is a port of the BBC Micro Revs disk version to the Atari 8-bit. Now, I did not know what that was, and Revs apparently is a racing game originally for the BBC Micro. A Formula 3 simulation. So basically, it's a first-person racing game. And looks like someone is working to port that to uh, the Atari 8-bit. That could be fun. Next, we have VGAR, Very Good Atari Remote, a PC Atari 8-bit game loader and control system for use with Atari 8-bit hardware. A Python program that acts as a front-end loader for Atari 8-bit games and other software using Respect, and a USB SIO device to allow loading of the software directly on Atari. Very good Atari remote. Next, we have DarkZill, a compact Zill-based framework for building old-school Infocom-style text adventure games using Atari 8-bit systems. I guess this is different from the other Scott Adams like thing we talked about earlier. So this is for creating Z3 text adventure games, which is one of the earlier Infocom formats, with special care for running on Atari 8-bit computers. It's intended for compact, old-school interactive fiction, dungeon crawls, sword and sorcery adventures, parser experiments, and Infocom-style games that should remain compatible with constrained 8-bit targets. This is only a couple weeks old. Seems like an interesting project. Then we have something called Atari 8-bit ANTIC Switch, which is a prototype of hardware. It uses two 245 transistors and holds reset on either ANTIC to disable them. Isolating the control signals may not be necessary, but doing it just in case. So now we're getting into the ones where I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what we're looking at here, but some sort of NTS. Oh, I see. NTSC/PAL switch. That's what they're doing. Okay. And in the middle of I sort of understand this category is something called Savo, a repository containing documentation for the Savo project for the Atari 8-bit computers. And what is the Savo project? Savo is a connector board with the audio video output of the Sega Saturn, which is mounted inside the RF modulator. Savo boards prevent the computer case from being drilled, open, or cut when new audio video signals are added to the Atari microcomputer. Savo is compatible with any Sega Saturn cable by using the Saturn Mini DIN 10 jack. So that's that. Now, finally getting into the category of well, I don't understand. What is this? We have something called Atari is All You Need. It's an Atari 8-bit implementation of Dave Plummer's PDP-11 implementation of the original ATT-N/11 paper tape is all you need. A single layer transformer with self-attention trained and run entirely on an Atari 8-bit computer, written in C89 and compiled with CC65 targeting the 6502 processor. I hope this is interesting to somebody. I don't understand what that is. And something called Atari MLP, multi-layer perception that runs an Atari 8-bit computer, ported from Exortran by Damien Borel, um, a 241 multi-layer perception MLP. That's the
Perceptron.
perceptron, trained to learn the XOR Boolean function ported to C for the CC65 cross compiler and compiled to run on Atari 8-bit computers. I don't understand what this
That
is at
means
all.
nothing to me. I have no idea what that is.
And yeah, and finally, something called Atari Hopfield implementation of a Hopfield network for the Atari 8-bit computers. A small Hopfield network demo. It builds a 25 neuron associative memory, stores two 5x5 patterns, corrupts one of them with random noise, and then tries to recover the original pattern through iterative asynchronous updates. Program is written for C for the CC65 Atari target and produces an Atari executable in XEX format. I had to look up Hopfield network on Wikipedia. It's a form of recurrent neural network or a spin glass system. I do not understand what this is, but you can play with one on the Atari 8-bit on GitHub.
If you always wanted to play with one, now you can on the
The
Atari.
Hopfield network. Yes.
Wow. Nice. All right. Well, gentlemen, I believe we've come to the end of the show.
Oh,
Any last words you want to say, Rob? We really appreciate you coming on the show. Been nice
Well,
having you.
yeah, I just want to say that I really appreciate the honor it is to be the first guest of Antic's 8-bit era, episode 128. So
nice.
thanks for
Finally
thanks for
made it.
having me.
Why don't you share your socials and website and stuff so people can find you?
Oh, yeah, I'm not really doing much. I think I'm playermissile.com on Blue Sky. I'm not really doing a whole lot of social stuff. I'm on Mastodon as well. Again, not doing much. Playermissile.com if you want to see some of my tutorials on display list interrupts and scrolling.
Rob,
Eventually, the podcast will be back.
Rob's tutorial on doing DLIs is incredible.
Yeah, thanks. I spent a lot of time on that, and I wanted to understand them, and I think I going through all that, I have a pretty good idea of what they do now. But yeah, I'm proud of that for sure. It took a lot of work, and I think
That looks
it's
like a lot of work. That is, wow, that's way more information on DLIs I've ever seen
Yeah,
anywhere
and
else.
it's so sensibly organized and just uh he explains a concept and then he builds on the concept so you can learn to do the next thing. And yes. Um
Kind of like a tricky tutorial, sounds like.
yeah, yes, but better. I think so. Yeah. Anyway, I refer to it sometimes and I appreciate it.
yeah, thanks. It's kind of the way I want to. I wish I would document everything like I took the time and documented that because I can now go back to it and refer and like, okay, I understand.
Yeah. Great.
That's the reason I usually document anything. It's just so that I can remember the next time I want to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because I'm notorious for I'll remember exactly how to do that, and I go back even weeks later. I'm like I should have
Yeah,
spent the time because now I've got to do it all over again.
right. All right. Well, it's been great having you. We really appreciate you coming on.
No,
And
yeah, thanks again. My pleasure.
you have an open invitation to come on in, another time.
Yeah, we'll be
So
as Jumpmat updates happen. Maybe we can have another
cool.
session.
So just in general, to the listeners, we love hearing about your memories of the Atari 8-bits. Anything you want to share, any projects you're working on. Maybe it's not Jumpman, but maybe it's something else. And tell us about it. Could be hardware, whatever it is. We'd love to hear about it. You can be famous and be on the ANTIC podcast. And there are many ways you can contact us via email, and Brad's going to tell us how to do that.
Antic at AtariPodcast.com.
And Kay's going to tell us about Blue Sky.
AtariPodcast.bsky.social.
And our website with show notes and links to all the items we've talked about Rob's going to tell you where that's at.
It's at www.ataripodcast.com.
We also have a Facebook page for those that still use it at facebook.com/groups/Atari Podcast. We have a Discord server whose link is at our website. And then there you go. So thanks, guys. We appreciate you spending time talking Atari today. It was a long one.
That was a good one.
Thanks for having me.
A lot going on.
Excellent. Bye,
All right.
guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.